Hello, welcome to Star Trek Adventures in Lollygagging, 2nd edition. I'm pretty sure that's what we're playing tonight. We've been discussing the pros and cons of the various makeup choices for Klingons throughout the shows, and we're we're not too happy with the puns, and we're not too happy with some of the choices either. Apparently, a couple of us have anger issues.
Well, that's a given. Anybody who's seen me knows I have anger issues.
But yeah, we are in the middle of an adventure, and as I like to do, we're just gonna jump right in. So, Captain's Log Supplemental. The Angstrom Research Base is split in two, just like our away team. Chief McCrae coordinated a site-to-site transport beam during a brief drop in the station's stellar shield, resulting in complications. McCrae assures me that the transporter was successful, but Lieutenant Commander Argent, Lieutenant Dvorggern, and Commander Hessel remain out of contact on the day side of the base, possibly due to the star's instability. Most of the base's personnel have been confirmed to be infected with a neural parasite, causing severe pain and aggression. I must remain open to the possibility that we have just lost most of our away team to the parasites or their hosts. Commander Donko and Lieutenant Commander zh'Azollarh. Man, I practiced that too, and I still had to do it twice. Commander Danko and Lieutenant Commander zh'Azollarh, who is possibly infected with the parasite herself, remain on the night side of the base. They've fortified themselves in operations, but time is running out. The Cardassians will arrive in 2 hours, and I don't expect them to be neighborly about the situation. We can't allow the research data to fall into Cardassian hands, even if it means the destruction of the Angstrom base. We are going to be picking up right where the action is not. So Commander Danko and Dr. Talas, you are in operations right now. And I believe, Talas, you were being productive while Danko didn't want to do anything, right? Is that where we left things off?
Level 2
I think
force
I'm going to let
field.
Danko take over on that one.
Wow.
I don't understand why you're so antagonistic. What
I'm
happened
sorry,
to
I
you?
can't help it.
Wow.
So
The level 2
you
force
have a
field.
level 2 force field.
I
up in
devise a
operations.
rapid hypothesis based in proper Star Trek lore to actually defend against these creatures and possibly protect the people that were already infected by them. But I'm the bad guy who deserves such antagonism.
Why do we have such anger issues here? Like, what is going on?
I'm not angry.
It must be the strobing lights.
I'm just disappointed.
Throwing lights, it causes headaches.
I think
So-
Jeff was right earlier. We should have just all played Klingons. And if this
We
was a
should.
Klingon crew, it would be perfect.
Yep.
We are in operations. There is a level 2 force field up, and all of the lights overhead are strobing with UV pulsing lights. You have officially accomplished it, Danko. It's taken you a few minutes, but you got there. Dr. Talas, as he was working on that, what were you doing?
Dr. Talas was doing the master and commander thing where the doctor essentially does surgery on themselves and is literally cutting bits of the parasite out.
You're right. And we did already cover that as well, the role. And Talas, you are feeling scrambled right now.
Okay. That's good. Can't believe we have to use these egg things.
I said, Kipser some code words that don't mean anything.
Okay, then I will continue to work on that. But I've got sort of my medical kit beside me, and I am doing sort of my best to mitigate any other egg situations.
All right. Danko, you've got the lights going. You head back to operations main computer just as your comlink buzzes. You hear Captain Shelby's voice on the other line. Commander Danko, report.
Well, Captain, currently we don't have the exact whereabouts of Commander Argent and the rest of the away team. Dr. Talas and I are here in the operations center we're on the night side, right?
Correct.
On the night side of the base. We have devised various strategies to potentially slow the progression of these creatures. However, the data is, well, we are limited with bandwidth to be able to get it on the night side. The Commander Argent and the rest of the away team went to the day side to try to access the drives to more quickly acquire it before the Romulans, or excuse me, before the Cardassians arrive. Dr. Talas, how are you feeling?
Yo, dude, it's like not good. We should probably prepare for containment field level 2 at least in emergency situation.
We have a level 2 force field.
Yes, also on me.
I see. So,
Commander
do we
Donko,
have any
can you-
additional medical like NPCs like on our staff that we could?
Not yet
There are-
created. Oh,
Medical NPCs on the Intrepid, yes, that
Okay.
we could do the rapid creation for.
Mhm.
In the base, there is a medical lab for personnel in the base. You'd have to try and find someone who's not infected and hope they're medical.
Okay. And like judging from I remember the roll I did last time suggested that like she could start seeing potential takeover in like an hour, like as soon as an hour, right?
15
like she can
minutes
start-
to an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been 15 minutes since then. So it could
Okay.
potentially happen anytime.
Okay. Is there and we do know that there's the possibility of there being like some sort of like stasis type chamber, some way we can kind of keep her in.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that you could engineer a force field specifically around her, or possibly turn off the shields again and have her teleported directly into the Intrepid in containment there, something like that.
Okay. So if that's the case, then I would probably coordinate with whoever is the in command, like medical officer back on the Intrepid, and
Before that happens, though,
a better transporter chief.
you won't find a better one than McCrae.
Then we're screwed.
Captain Shelby continues. Commander Donko, how confident do you feel about Dr. Talas's condition right now?
I am quite certain that she's been infected, that the parasite is beginning to spread. She seems currently to be in control of most of her faculties, but it is only a matter of time and not much of it before the parasite takes over. We're going to need to keep her in some sort of stasis until we can get the rest of the data and perhaps devise proper treatment.
That is going to be a problem, as Chief McCrae has informed me that something about the stellar radiation on the day side of the base has made it difficult to have a lock on the life signs of our away team there. He's not going to be able to transport them out. Their only hope is for you to make sure that the tram is up and running to get out of that side of the base.
I see.
Is this something that you and Dr. Talas can handle?
I'll be here as long as I can be here, Captain Bro.
Yes, Captain. And if I might, difficult should not be something that an officer in the Intrepid balks at. We'll have to have a long discussion about personnel and whether or not we might need to find ourselves a different teleportation chief.
It doesn't seem to be a matter of difficulty, but a matter of risk. Anyone being transported off the day side of the planet could potentially have injury or lethal consequences.
We will get the tram unblocked.
And I should not have to remind you that time is vital. The situation is near critical.
How much time is it before the Cardassians? Last I heard it was 3 hours,
2
right?
hours.
2 hours? Okay. Okay. You have nothing to worry about, Captain.
Understood. Get it done. Captain Shelby out.
Commander Danko, here, you should take this, and I'm going to hand you a hypo spray.
Okay.
Use when necessary. I'll hold myself as needed, and give you warning if I feel it gets too bad, if I'm capable of it. We
Kipser.
should...
Over easy.
All right. We should do what we can to try to rescue those that we can. And computer, show me records from last medical CMO entry in this base for the last 40 days.
Computer the entries start flying up. There are some recent medical incidents as of 10 days ago. It appears that there was a malfunction in the exhaust system that resulted in 3 maintenance workers going out to clear what was being read as a biological contaminant. Something during that incident resulted in an accident. There was an accident with a laser drill that resulted in the death of 2 of the workers, and a third was injured by the biological contaminant.
Here you go. Commander Danko, take a look at these results here. So it looks like they were out in this area before they got injured. That might be a dangerous part, but we might need to fix that to get our other crew back.
And that was like specifically for the tram?
No, that was just part of the general base. It was some of the exhaust and intake manifolds.
Never mind.
Okay. So can you refresh my memory in terms of like how the tram line is actually jammed? Like,
yeah. So essentially, you don't know the status of one of the tram lines.
Mm-hmm.
You know that one of them exploded as you were flying in on the shuttle, and there are 2 that go back and forth. They're next to each other, but not attached. So you know that the structural stability of one is very weak due to the explosion. But as of now, it seems as if it's capable of being brought back online.
Okay. All right. So remotely, or do we actually have to physically go to this location?
It would require a physical inspection. Right now, all the status is coming back as in that it's mostly positive, but there is some sort of error that the tram is not moving.
Okay. So he's going to do 2 things then. I'm going to, like, as I'm standing in the face of Talas, I want to shine the strobing light right into her face, just to see and observe her reaction, to see if her reaction has shifted and changed in any noticeable way. So that's the first thing.
Talas apparently puts her sunglasses on.
Dude.
You can tell she's in physical pain. Talas, how would you react to the strobing light in your face?
Oh, well, I flip out my sunglasses and say dude at him.
Okay. And then the second thing is I want to see if I could pull out any of the light emitters within this this operations center and just sort of carry them or strap them around us. There's all sorts of panels and stuff. I can pull some of these non-essential panels out and see if I can kind of strap some of these lights, essentially trying to give us more light, but giving me more opportunity to do this sort of strobing effect here and there if I can.
Yeah. You already have the trait stunnable with UV light, and we'll just say that you have portable UV light. You're able to rig it up. You've got battery in the light. That's not anything that would be impossible for a Starfleet officer.
And then I guess the last thing I would do is looking for the route to the tram, like where we would need to go to physically inspect.
Yeah. So you would know that you do have to go back to the first floor. But you can take the turbo lift this time, which means you can go directly. You can skip the second floor that has crew quarters and the medical bay and things like that. And then the first floor has been mostly explored already. So it wouldn't be that much that you're having to retread or risk going through.
Okay. I want to try to essentially, if I can, erect some force fields along the way to give us a narrow path, so that
I like this.
So that we know we know we're going and things can't.
Level 2 force fields
Level
in
2.
the hallways preemptively to create a sort of maze to follow. I like this. It's going to take a check though. I would say that this would be. It sounds like engineering. I know I always call engineering. And then I would say control, probably.
Danko, would you like me to do the work on this while you get some other stuff sorted?
That's very kind of you. I think you should just focus on your own health.
I have a 15 for that.
Yeah, I don't think Danko trusts you though, so
Fair enough.
he's gonna roll on his own.
Trusted you before you got parasite infected.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
If Danko isn't taking the support, then Talas is going to read through some of the medical journals to see if they have done any work or experimentation on dealing with the parasite.
Yeah, easy enough. And Danko, we're going to say that this is difficulty 1. This isn't that difficult.
And what attributes did you say?
Control engineering.
Control engineering. Okay. All right. Difficulty 1. I'll just rip it. Okay, I got a 1. I don't really have any focuses that would apply here, I don't think.
Okay. So you succeed in putting up the force fields, but you didn't necessarily build any momentum. But you do have the pathway marked throughout the whole place. While he's doing that, Talas, you are going through and looking at more of these logs. I'm going to go ahead and share a handout with you all. Of a timeline that you are able to piece together. And this is not a cohesive report. This is logs and duty reports that are being combined. You're combing through several of them and trying to put them together, and you're coming up with a very rough timeline. 10 days ago is when the incident happened with the exhaust system where the maintenance workers were injured. 9 days ago, Vital, the chief of stellar research and the commander of the station, asked to examine one of the biological contaminants, curious about how it could survive in such a harsh environment. And surgery to remove the contaminant from the worker resulted in the worker's demise. 8 days ago, reports of the cells infiltrating the base came from all decks. There was a recorded log of Vital accessing environmental control, but the log of what he did inside the system was erased. And all research logs from the day side of the base end there as work was put on hold. 7 days ago, panic took over the base, with fights breaking out all over. Crew were kidnapped or beaten by others and taken to the day side of the facility. Commander Welgan sent operations personnel to the facility via the tram, but all were lost in a minor explosion that appeared to be deliberate. That's not the same explosion that actually destroyed the tram, though. That happened while you were flying in. 6 days ago, order broke down. Adam sent the final message. That's the one that you all received that called you to the system. Crew barricaded themselves from each other. Vital locked out communication and scrambled.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
All of the base's security codes. From this point onward, there are no further logs, only records of what happened to base systems. 5 days ago, one of the base's shuttles departed with 2 on board. They flew directly into the Dranunco star and were destroyed. And then 3 days ago, the holding tank ruptured in engineering. Main power and the computer were shut down. You have since repaired this, and there are no further entries.
Can I see if I can retrieve the deleted logs from day 8, like hacking or maybe there's something left behind in the environmental controls for what happened?
That's something you could do, but it would take some time.
Okay.
And this is like stuff that you're just going over as Danko is setting up the force fields. If both of you decide to take the time, that's definitely something you could pursue.
Danko, take a look at this, dude. It's like there's something happened on the 8th here that got removed. I don't think I'll have time to do it, but for your future.
So the 8th day.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so this is
Something
all
happened with
research
the
logs?
environmental controls that got deleted.
Not
Okay.
the 8th day, but 8 days ago.
8 days
8
ago.
days ago. Okay. But it's like it's not information that we have access to because it's on the day side, right?
So the The
All
environmental
research
controls,
logs. It says all research logs from the Dayside base ends and work there was put on hold. So
right? What was deleted was the environmental control logs.
okay,
The research logs end because people stopped doing research on that day. Not that research logs were deleted.
okay. So that data could be available from where we're at right now, or does it mean like we have to go to
Yes,
environment, like
it would
literally
be
go to?
environmental controls would be accessible from operations.
Okay, I mean, like we could dig. I mean, we could try that. We'll see how long it would take.
Yeah. Do we have time though? We might want to make sure the tram works well. There's 2 of us.
Well, that's fair, but I think our fellow away team members, Argent, Hessel, and the other one, I think they'll be capable of finding their own way back. Should we need to take a few extra moments, and besides, this could be essential information.
Talas, you are hit by a wave of pain from your chest and poached.
Da, 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 da. Okay. Then I am going to use my common logical trait to repress a mood or emotional state and ignore its effect for the duration of a task or turn in combat. So this would be a task.
Absolutely. All right.
And I will do so by suffering 1 stress. We have to go quick.
Okay. If that's the case, then I guess we're just gonna have to ignore this. So I mean, we have to do the trim. Trim's the most important thing, I suppose, at this point, and we need to do it before you completely turn. So, okay.
All right.
You'll see a little bit of like blood come out of Talas's nose.
Do I really?
I've got a hold of it for now. Let's go.
Okay. And you gave me the hypo, right?
I did.
Good to know.
All right. The 2 of you head to
You don't
the
have to
exit
kill me.
for operations.
I was going to.
And the level 2 force field drops to open up to a hallway that is also secured by level 2 force fields, and you begin making your way towards the turbo lift. We're going to end this scene there, and we will pick up on the opposite side of the base where it is much, much actually it's not brighter because you are on the day side of the base, but all the windows are blacked out and closed. You are in the main research lab here. And you have come across Commander Vital. Vital is a tall Vulcan who is wearing ceremonial Vulcan robes. He's holding this staff that on one end is a fan-shaped blade, on the other end is a bludgeon, and he is just covered in these neural parasites, these creatures that look like just very large brain cells. Commander Hessel, you started moving across the room to try and fan out. And when that happened, the staff slammed down to the ground, and Vital turned to look at you all, saying, "The pain is clarity." What are you 3 doing?
I think I've got a plan, at least to start us off. What I would like to do is telepathically, not attack him, but try to communicate with his core personality, the core Vulcan Starfleet officer within him, to reason with him to stand down. Not that I'm expecting this to succeed, but I'm basically trying to give him a trait that reduces his defense so that when we go to try to take him out, it's more effective. Unless, of course, he is completely persuaded to give up, which I find unlikely.
Well, he is a Vulcan, and these neural parasites affect Vulcans differently, which is why he's maintained a lot more semblance of independence than most of the personnel you've come across. This would be a presence command task, it sounds like.
Yep. What's the difficulty?
Difficulty 4.
I'm going to give you a point of threat to get a third die. I am going to spend 1 point of determination to make one of those dice automatically a 1 to give me 2 successes. And let's see how it
Only need 2
goes.
more.
And hold on, I gotta double check. So one of my focuses is persuasion. Do you feel that that would fit
Yeah,
here?
persuasion would absolutely work here.
Okay. 6 successes.
Ooh, nicely done. So he turns around and he is definitely grappling with this intense pain as he just slams this staff on the ground. He glares that you never seen so much emotion on a Vulcan's face. Maybe it's a grimace instead of a glare, but it does seem that there's hostility behind it. What exactly are you conveying to try and calm him down here?
So I'm conveying the core Starfleet values just over and over again. The Starfleet officer, that what our purpose is exploration, and that we need to understand that we cannot allow harm to come to fellow Starfleet officers. And when we know we have been compromised, we have to stand down so our brothers and sisters within Starfleet can aid us. And that is what we're here to do for him.
And he slams it down and oh, too many voices in my head. You do have 2 momentum as well. Are you planning on banking that or using it for anything else?
Um, I will I will spend one of those momentum to ask a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now that I've touched his mind and I feel what he feels, do how can I isolate him from the voices?
Good question. Um, how can you isolate him? It would be impossible to truly isolate him, but you did hit the correct nerve. Focusing on Starfleet and his duty that is inherent in him. It's a core part of his identity. Trying to help him reclaim his identity is the way to get him to be able to defeat or not necessarily defeat but overcome the other forces that are pulling against him. You can sort of feel that there is an intense force. It's almost a torturous force because it just causes pain until you do what it wants you to do, and then it continues to cause pain. And he is just overcome by that. But if you can get him to stay focused on his Starfleet training, then there's a chance that you're able to get him to continue to help Starfleet instead of whatever change happened in him. You can tell he was broken by this process. He gave in to the voice, but it happened in a different way. He wasn't necessarily overcome by the voice. It was him doing what he thought was best for the voice. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was very limited control over him, but it changed his personality.
I mean, what do I think my odds are of actually getting through to him to stand down? I mean, I don't want to risk my own crew to try to talk this guy down if
With
he
this
just needs to be
success,
stopped.
you already have gotten him to essentially hold back the aggression that he was about to unleash.
Okay. Commander Hessel, Dvorggern, we need to continue to remind the commander of his duty to Starfleet. I believe in my heart that he wants to help us free his people from this trauma. Focus on who he is as a Starfleet officer.
That is what I have been working towards. Freeing base, purifying the research facility.
How are you trying to do this, Commander Vital?
Burn it away.
We've identified this as the same neural parasite that attacked the Deneva colony back under Kirk's enterprise. We believe we may be able to use ultraviolet radiation to save your people. If you can submit and allow our medical teams to help, I think we can save you all.
Ultraviolet. The Dran star does not have ultraviolet radiation. But the stellar radiation it still burns.
But the Intrepid is capable of taking care of you. If we are able to get you back to the ship in a medical containment facility, we can treat you individually and save you and the remainder of your crew.
The plan is already working. The base is being purified with the stellar inversion drive.
Sir, are you saying that you've turned your base into a large stellar bomb?
And I think at this point, it would start to piece together for you. A lot of this research is based around a stellar inversion drive. That's where the power for this base came from, too. And when you think about how you were fixing the tank and engineering and things like that, how it was essentially the pressure was just spiked up. You start seeing the consoles behind VTOL are lit up. You see their red lights blaring all over. He has turned the stellar inversion drive to maximum, and that is what's causing the star's instability right now, as this base is just literally harvesting all of the gas from the star, so much to the point that the star is going to explode. And that was his grand plan, yes. So even as you say that, you see the pieces come together, and he soon, mere hours.
Vital, Commander Vital, if you can, shut it down. We have a way of saving you that won't risk all that you've accomplished here.
Commander Hessel, Lieutenant Dvorggern, what are you two doing as this conversation is happening?
I would say that Hessel does have a focus in mental resistance techniques. So I would say that Hessel would be kind of trying to help Vital, basically kind of trying to help him with a bit of sort of visualization. Like he was talking about like so many voices and like trying to stay focused. And so like she's trying to kind of walk him through kind of this like imagining that all of those voices are just a wave and you hear the wave and you hear the wave crash and you kind of watch it go out, and kind of trying to help him with that focus and trying to help him deal with like not fight so much with the voices, but just sort of accepting that they're there and there's just sort of a rhythm that's in the background and we can ignore it.
All right. I like that a lot. Dvorggern, how about you? What are you doing?
So, because I have a focus in Starfleet protocol, I think that what Dvorggern would be doing is just as Commander Argent is trying to talk Vital to the core of who he is. Whenever Dvorggern feels it's appropriate, he's like citing, like, policy one, code this, like to the letter, because I'm pretty sure a Vulcan would have that stuff memorized in that way, and they could appreciate the like meticulous nature of breaking out the protocol. And he's like
Look at
standing
you.
at like
Derek knows how Vulcans are now. Our little Star Trek baby's all grown up. All right, I like that a lot too. So Argent, it sounds like you are taking point on this check. But Hessel and Dvorggern are assisting you. Hessel, I think it makes sense for you to be doing command insight. And Dvorggern, I think also it would be command for you, but likely reason as you're coming up with the logic behind everything. Uh, and then let's get those rolls, and then we'll see how Argent is going to be well off. You got a
I got a
success, or
6. Yeah, 1 success.
all right,
11, also 1 success.
all right. And this is difficulty 5, Argent, but it's now been lowered to 3 if you get a single, or you'll get 2 successes if you get a single success here. Argent, I think you're going to be using a reason command as well. As you are trying to persuade using logic, trying to reason with him.
All right, I will spend my last point of determination to set one of them at a 1, and I will take my 1 point of momentum to get myself an additional die.
All right, so you only need 1 more success then.
And once again, persuasion works, right, for my focus?
Yes, absolutely.
4 successes, so 6 successes in total.
6 total. So that is the 5 you needed plus 1 momentum. You guys knocked it out of the park. Excellent work here. Do you want to spend that momentum on anything or bank it?
Let's spend it to reduce the amount of time it takes for him to come around to, our way of thinking.
Awesome. I like that a lot. In that case, you see him as you're going. You're still laying down your arguments. Dvorggern, you're popping out protocol and
On
rules
the
and
reference
laws.
page.
Yeah. And Hessel, you are focusing on the emotional side because Vulcans do still have emotions, and this Vulcan very much is feeling many of those emotions that he has repressed for decades now. And between the 3 of you, you see him soften. You can see that there's still pain, but he lets go of the Lurpa and it just falls and it clatters with a metallic clank as it rattles. And without even saying a word, he turns around to the console and you see his hands start flying. Despite the pain, he still has insane dexterity and grace as his hands are moving through the controls, moving all the dials down, hitting certain buttons. And at first, you're worried, but then you see some of those red lights, they start turning yellow, they start turning green. You see that pressure is starting to normalize in places, power consumption is going down. You see the darkness inside this room. The lights start to brighten as the energy that was being pushed into this stellar drive is being redirected and the base starts coming to life again. But I'm still going to spend some threat because we can't make it that easy on you.
Bastard.
Let me roll here because this could be literally anyone. 1, 2 Dvorggern, 2, 3 Hessel, 5, 6 Argent. Dvorggern. You are quoting very obscure passage in the Starfleet regulations when you hear what could only be described as a squelching noise. As there is a wiggling behind you, and as you turn, there is this brain cell that is flying towards you. You were so focused on you were so focused on Vital that you did not even realize that there were multiple parasites behind you, one of which has begun to attack you. It is going to make an attack right now. You are
question.
going to what was that?
Quick question: is it a melee attack?
It is a melee attack, yes.
Could you please
So
increase the
daring
difficulty?
security.
Yeah, can you
Okay.
increase the difficulty by 1? I have defensive training for melee attacks as one of my talents.
All right.
Very nice.
Nice.
So melee attack is daring security with a difficulty of 1, but it's being increased to 2 because you were not aware to defend yourself. That is a 2 and a 12.
You
Only
said
one of those is a success, though. Yeah, only so it would have succeeded, except you have this trait. So, what does this look like as you're able to fight it off?
um so Dvorggern is just kind of like standing at like a military arrest where like his hands are behind his back and he's just, rambling off the codes or whatnot. And with the sudden hearing, he just kind of like pivots and just turns his body so that it just passes right by him without touching him.
It flies right past, and we're gonna go into combat here. It's your three. Any of you can go into any order, as there are two of these parasites, one by Dvorggern and one that flew right past into the midst of you all. And the one that flew past is literally flying as well. Who wants to go?
Okay. I can
Dvorggern.
start us off. We had our phasers set to stun because we were originally going to attack Vital, or we thought we were going to fight Vital, right?
Yes. Unless you say otherwise, I'm guessing that your phasers are always set to stun.
But were we all together when one of them was stunned, or was that like an individual, an isolated event? I can't recall.
You stunned one in a group together, yeah.
Okay, and wasn't did it work on it, or did we notice that
It
it
did
was
not,
like
no. But you,
okay,
as part of your attack, you can like change the setting of your phaser
gotcha.
if that's what you're
Okay,
getting
yeah,
at.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, then I want to take it off of stun. Would it be reasonable to conclude that the one that tried to attack me is not able to attack again? Like, I want to go for whichever one is poised to attack next to kind
That
of
would
stave
be
that off.
reasonable to conclude, yes.
Okay, so then it's the one that jumped in between everybody that was poised to attack next?
No, it's the one that's still next to you.
Oh, okay, then I'm just going to blast that one. And I'll use my phaser focus. What do I need to, or
Ranged
what?
attack is control security, by the way. Difficulty 2.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. I'm gonna, because I don't want anyone else getting infected, I'm gonna spend a determination to make one of my rolls automatically a crit.
Did you already roll?
No.
Okay, perfect.
Now I'm gonna roll just one dice. That's a 7. So 3 successes total. You're muted.
Muted myself right as I was going to talk. 3 successes. So that is a hit plus 1 momentum that you can bank, or you can choose to do something else with that. I will say, with a kill strike, it just does take the 1 hit to kill this thing. So you are able to. You have it on maximum setting, and we craterize, we're saying, because we can't use Star Trek words because I always get them wrong. So we're making up our own words here in this world of made up words. As there is a small crater in the steel flooring, this sci-fi steel, as you have destroyed this neural parasite. That does leave us with one more neural parasite that has already gone. So Hessel or Argent, you go ahead and go.
I would say Hessel was used to moving around with the UV. So that's what she's going to use on this thing is the UV. Because we've already done that before.
So the way we were saying with the UV is that if you have the UV with you, you still have to do the attack, but the UV is giving you a bonus die.
Okay. And what is this again for attribute discipline?
Control security for a ranged attack, unless you're trying to melee.
Security, so that's under 13. I don't have any focuses, unfortunately, but I rolled a 1, a 4, and an 11, so that's 3 successes.
All right. Again, that's a hit and 1 momentum that you can bank or spend on something else. As this parasite that flew past and stayed in the air, it flew right past Dvorggern, and as it's sailing through the air, you pull up your UV light, and it staggers it, and it freezes it in the air long enough for you to pull up your phaser, and you just snipe it right out of the air. It doesn't seem to have caused a change on Vital. He is still covered with these neural parasites, but he's focused and he's dialed in on the console. That does pull us out of combat land. Then there were only the 2 neural parasites so far that you know of. Let's go ahead and fade here, and we'll cut back to the nighttime side of the base. Danko and Talas. Your task is over, Talas. So may I remind you of poached.
I will take another stress to suppress it again.
I love it. I really do.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a attribute war. All right.
All right. So the two of you, you've made your way through the night side base. Your level 2 force fields worked perfectly. The lights are also back on the base, so you don't have the red lights flashing. You don't have the klaxons. There probably was one incident where you were moving through the second floor where science personnel like lunged at you, screaming to get away as they were trying to hit you, but then they hit the force field. And you were able to continue moving. The force field held. You make your way to the turbo lift, down through the mess hall, and then towards the transportation center, which isn't too far from the shuttle base where you started here. Simply getting to the day side of the base is just it's no simple task. Walking across the surface of the planet would be a 5-kilometer trek in a very harsh environment, blasted by very deadly radiation. The tram tube works right now, but there is a signal coming from it that the tram is jammed about halfway through. As you are closer here, you are able to get better readings, and it appears that there is something on the tracks on this tram tube, and the tram cannot move further. Uh, To move through the tram tube is not a difficult prospect. There are access tunnels and access platforms to walk the entire way. The question is, what could be blocking that tram tube, and how dangerous is the side since it has taken some structural damage?
So, what are we getting from sensors and tricorder readings about what that thing might be other than something? Is it organic, inorganic? Is it emitting radiation? Is there
Yeah,
more
this is gonna be a
information we can
check.
get? Okay.
And it's going to be science and insight.
Are we both allowed to roll for this one, or should just
You could
Denko
assist.
go? I can assist. Okay, yeah, I'll assist Denko with that.
How are you assisting?
I will also have my medical tricorder up, and I'm going to check, just like Danko is, to see if it reads or is emitting any life sign.
Okay.
And you
Yeah,
said
so insight science we'll say for both.
insight. Okay, insight science. That is one success, so +1 Denko.
Nice. What's the difficulty, Stephen?
Difficulty 2.
I'm gonna take a momentum, even though I don't really need it. But okay, so I got a 2 and a 13 and a 19. So the 19 is no good. The 13, I think, is bang on. Yeah, 13 is good, and then I get a 2. Yeah, I don't really see any focuses that might apply here. So it sounds like 3 successes total.
All right.
I'm just reading data.
So you succeed with the 2, and you get 1 extra momentum here. And the data is coming up that there is a physical blockage, and the readings that come up are sorry, I'm trying to find the right tech term for this. You're getting a very precise mineral arrangement that's coming up. Something that is often used in research facilities like this for the clearing of land, flattening of land when building the base, things like that. Essentially, it's a mining explosive.
Okay. I'm going to spend the bonus momentum that I get from whenever I spend a momentum and I get a momentum, I get a bonus one. So I'm going to spend that bonus one to ask a question. the chemical composition of this thing, whatever it is there some way to make is it possible to render the explosive material inert?
So the material itself is not that dangerous by itself, but when it has a detonator, it can be. If there is no detonator, the material itself is perfectly safe to handle. So you would have to find a way to remove the detonator or deactivate the detonator that might be on there, if there is one, which there likely is, because you know that there's a bomb on the other side.
So, but what makes it dangerous, though?
Essentially, think of it like C4, where like if you don't have anything in the C4, it's not going to explode just by handling it, by holding it. But when you have that little stick in the detonator in there, then it becomes much more dangerous.
Okay, but isn't like can't you, never mind, whatever. Okay,
It's the Star Trek version.
No, it's fine.
I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm trying to find the name for it here, but I can't find it.
I have a feeling Googling what makes C4 explode puts you on a list.
I'm feeling Aaron knows anyway.
I'm on so many lists.
I'm
from
extremely
Delta Green
comfortable
already.
with blowing up C4, but we
Yeah.
won't get into that.
All right. But so if we remove the detonator, in theory, we can, what is it? It's just like packages of this material, or is it, you said it
Yes,
was crystal,
essentially.
so is it growing or is it in packages?
It likely it would be in large metallic containers that would just require work to move.
Oh, okay.
And Donko, I believe you get a second question when you ask a question, right?
I do, but I don't know. The type of detonation, is it chemical? Is it electrical? Like, are we sending a signal into this
Electrical.
material? Okay. So we are looking then for some sort of detonator that's connected to this thing. Is it, like the mass of it, like is the mass significant enough to actually block our path or just block the tram path?
It is not significant enough to block your path if you were to walk the 5 kilometers. You could easily move past it. But the way it seems that the way it is set up on the rails is that if the tram rolls over it, it will detonate it, which is why the tram is on like a fail-safe right now where it won't move.
Okay, and it's detonating it because the tram is electrical and it's sending electrical current through it?
The way it's rigged, yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm just confused because is it a detonator or is it the tram hitting the thing that's actually going to detonate this?
Okay, so there is a detonator, but it is not set to detonate until the tram moves. Essentially, it's a booby trap.
So pressure detonator.
Sure.
It's a pressure plate detonator.
Okay.
And the tram itself is set on a fail-safe. You already asked some questions, so I think it's safe to say this. If you look at what has caused the fail-safe for the tram, it was an override that was coded in. Someone has set the tram to not move.
Okay. I figure like if it's so if we're genuinely looking for some sort of detonator that's in place, then is this like the type of thing that we can physically search for it?
So this is, you know enough about this type of device. It's a mining charge, so it's not incredibly complicated, and it's the type of thing that can be routinely handled by Starfleet engineers. So you would be able to know that if you walked out to the device about 200 meters into the tram tunnel, you'd be able to make an engineering test to disarm the bomb.
Okay. Are your hands feeling steady enough to disarm a bomb?
And Talas,
Mm-hmm.
hard-boiled.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
All right. I'm going to take
We're still in
another.
the same scene, so you don't have to do that yet. But I'm just saying how it, yeah.
We went from poached to hard boiled. Where's over medium? Come on.
He actually doesn't have over medium. He's got soft boiled, hard boiled, sunny side, over easy.
Don't give away all
scrambled,
my
and
secrets.
poached. And I will share it with anybody else who gets egged.
That is confidential GM information.
So right now we're hard boiled. I'm just gonna select that one. Okay, I will take that into consideration and take a stress if I have to.
All right. So Donko did just ask you if you're feeling steady enough.
Yeah, let's get this job done. We gotta. I can do it. And some of the fun Talas talk has dropped at this moment.
You have. Never mind. Yeah. Okay. We're getting along better then, probably.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. Finally, maybe we should keep the parasite in her. She seems far more respectful of the chain of command and authority and the concept of
let's go.
Starfleet in general.
Dude,
That's
you're
fine.
like whack and way out there, a little bit square, so let's just go.
And he lets out a sigh because he was worried that maybe she was completely gone, but now she's back.
Talas, with the way that you are overpowering this, essentially, I think it makes sense that like you would still feel these desires and you would be
Yeah.
aware of them.
Yeah.
So there's nothing stopping you from communicating your desires as well, if you would like to.
Oh, okay. I was gonna hold that back. Look, bruh, listen, this parasite like has desires that I can hear, which is really like far out and not cool. But it wants the Cardassians here. It wants delays. And also it wants to get a parasite onto the Intrepid.
It wants the Cardassians. It actually
Yeah,
knows
like, dude, it's
who the Cardassians are.
it wants a delay for something to come to take it away. Both desires are kind of the same.
So is it specifically like Cardassians, or just like it's just looking for a way off the planet, basically?
I'm pretty sure it's just looking for a way off the planet.
I see. Well, one thing at a time. And
yeah, dude, like,
yeah.
Now let's see if we can find one of those small little wheelie trolleys so we can get to the middle of this thing faster.
It's not that far away. It's like 200 meters, I thought you said, right?
Yeah, it's only 200 meters.
Oh,
we can
okay.
walk, I think.
If we have to.
All right. So you have to crawl into a Jeffries tube at first, a maintenance hatch, to get past these bulkhead doors that are sealed. But it doesn't require that much work other than unscrewing the doors and the ventilation and things like that. And you're able to make your way into the actual tracks of this tram. And there are access paths on both sides, and there are Jeffries tubes that run underneath for access and things like that. And you're able to make the 200 meters where you find a host of mining charges. There's enough to blow the entire station. This is close enough that it would cause severe damage to the actual night side of the base. These mining charges are not nearly as central as the other explosion was that came in. It would be a engineering task to disarm this, and the thing is, it would take some time as well. So it's taken you about 10-15 minutes to get down here, and after setting up all the force fields and everything like that. So you've got about an hour 45-ish until the Cardassians come. If you want to do this carefully, it'll take 30 minutes to complete without a check. If you want to do it quickly, we can make a check and see how that goes.
We still don't have any communications with the other half of the UA team, right?
At this point, that is a good question.
Commander Argent, dude, bro, you there? Hello? Yo.
Now that
yo.
VTOL has turned off the stellar drive and power has returned to that side, Dr. Talas would come through clear for the three of you.
Report, Dr. Talas.
Oh, dude, you're there.
Yes, I am here.
Far out.
It is far out indeed. What is your status, Dr. Talas?
Commander Danko and I are like totally in the tram area right now. There's an explosive. We can clear it off and like get you guys back to the night side much faster. But if we try to do it quickly, it might totally blow up in our faces. or it will take 30 minutes. And the Cardassians are like, they're totally ready to party and are like an hour and 45 minutes away.
Do what you can to reduce the time necessary to defuse the bomb and get the tram here, but do not blow yourselves up. I trust your engineering acumen to make the right decision.
Yeah, totally.
We have made contact with Commander Vital. We've talked him down. He has stopped the stellar degenerator's power drain on the star, which has allowed us to resume communications. It may make things easier for transporting the crew off of the station as well.
Yeah, totally. We need to save as many as we can.
Right. So do your job, get here, don't succumb to the parasites, and Commander Danko, if she does, knock her out.
Yes, sir.
I totally gave him my hypo already. It's fine.
Good job, Doctor.
All right, I'm going to try to clear it quickly.
Not at all what he said, but I love
But
it.
you said to reduce the time.
You said reduce the time. Yeah, I heard the same thing. Yeah.
Reduce
You
the
did
time,
say that.
Yeah.
but use, good engineering acumen. So,
Yeah.
3 momentum. That sounds like that's all.
yeah, I think.
Can I assist in this, or is this like a multi-step
Absolutely.
task?
This is a single
15
step
minutes.
task. It says fitness engineering difficulty of 2, but
Okay.
failing would have a significant cost.
Okay. Fitness engineering is a 13 for me. And would the focus of improvisation work on this one?
I don't think improvisation would work
Darn.
here.
Does Danko have a focus, or what is?
No,
What is?
I mean, I got like pattern recognition and stuff like that, but it's engineering stuff. It's not really
Yeah.
my
All right.
bag. I did get a
then-
5, so I do assist. You do get one for me if
Thank
you
you.
succeed.
All right.
Okay.
So you just need one success.
How much momentum do we have right now? We have 3. I will take a momentum, so I can roll 3 dice.
You could take all 3 and roll 4 dice if you don't want to blow up.
Well, I only need 1 more success.
It's true.
Yeah, okay, fine. I'll
I
take
mean,
2
odds are in
dice.
your favor, but I just don't want you to die.
All right, I'll take 2, so I'll roll 4 dice, and I need 13 and below,
All right.
and that leaves you guys. So I got a 1, which is 2 successes,
Yeah, it is.
and then an 11 and a 13. So that is 5 with Dr. Denko's success.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic. That is 2 you needed and 3 momentum that you are putting back in then, unless you wanted to spend it on something else.
Nope, let's bank that.
You could spend some to make it go quicker as well. You're already going faster, but you can always spend momentum to have.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Then yes, I will spend momentum. And you kind of see Dr. Talas like lock in, roll up her sleeves the same way she would do for any sort of medical emergency, and with the precision of the surgeon, manages to disarm this thing and get it out of the way.
All right, fantastic. So how much actual momentum is it to save time?
I just have the quick guide on here.
Reduce
Hold on.
times 2.
2.
Takes roughly half the time.
Okay.
All right. So you're spending 2 momentum to take half the time. And we'll say, Talas, you're going through and you are very deftly removing these detonators, deactivating them. And once they're deactivated, they're perfectly safe to move around. You could give them a good toss. They're not going to explode. Danko, we will also say that as she's deactivating them and you're moving them around to try and clear the track, you find that there's actually a Jeffries tube here that's completely empty and has plenty of space to store these without any risk of being run over by the trams. So instead of having to fully move these mining charges like out of the section, you're able to tuck them into this large, essentially drainage basin where it's not great storage long term, but you don't need long term. You just need a few hours. And you're able to just move them a few meters instead of a few hundred meters. And you're able to get all of the mining charges deactivated and stored away in a safe place in really just a few minutes. It only takes you 8 minutes to do this together. All right.
And we'll notify Argent once we're done too.
And you get that clear, and then you're able to move on to the tram. And the tram had the override manually put on it. But once you're able to get to the tram, which isn't much further than these mining charges, it's just a simple process of clearing that override. It's like hitting a reset button. So you're able to get the tram up and running in 10 minutes flat, which is insanely fast. Nice job, guys. All right. The tram is fixed. VTOL has turned off the stellar drive. We're going to cut back to the daytime side of the base here. As what is your next step here, Argent, Hessel, Dvorggern? You know the stellar drive is off. Power is coming back to this side of the base. You know the tram is being worked on, so you're going to be able to evacuate easily. What is your goal now?
We need to pull the drives, the research drives still, and then make sure that there is no trace of this information left anywhere in the computer systems. And that's not my skill set. So he would look to Hessel and say, pull the drives, scrub the computer, make sure there's nothing left that anyone could pull off of it after we withdraw.
Is Vital in any way prohibiting me from doing anything in this area?
No, after Vital turns off the stellar drive, he kind of like crumples down onto a console, and you see he's still struggling, and he's not really being communicative, but he's also not paying attention to any of you at all. It seems as if he's trying to go into some sort of meditation. You hear him mumbling over and over the same Vulcan words to himself. If someone addresses him, he will respond, but he's not trying to resist anything.
Argent would probably try to continuously, subtly support and fortify Vital's own mental defenses with his telepathy. Try to, add a bulwark of resistance to his mind.
I like that. We don't need to make a roll for that now, but if something happens that he starts to falter, we'll make the roll for that then. Hessel and Dvorggern, you're both looking for the drives then. You're in the main research lab, so it's not hard to find the drives here. It would just be a matter of getting them out, getting them ready for transport, and then clearing anything that may be left on the computers, because you're not taking everything on the computer. You're just taking the main research drives that have all the data. So yeah, go ahead.
I was just say, so Dvorggern was also going to leave the data side of things to Commander Hessel, and based on what Dvorggern has observed and learned about these parasitic creatures, can I use either security systems or strategy to seal off any routes that they could use to ambush us, or any way to get in while
You
this
want a
work is
level 2
happening?
force field, is what I'm hearing.
But with metal stuff, because I'm not a I'm gonna use the phaser to weld it essentially, or whatever I can. Yes.
Okay, I think security would know quite a bit about level 2 force fields if you want, because they're very common
yes.
for that. And with the power on this side of the base, it doesn't even take a roll. So you're able to set that up as well. We'll say it takes some time where you're going over to the computers and trying to make sure that you have everything secure. And the thing is, most force fields go for bulkhead doors and things like that. So you're also making sure that it projects force fields over ventilation shafts and Jeffries tubes and things like that. You're being extremely thorough here. Again, I don't think this will take a check though. But yeah, it just takes some time. And that leaves us with Hessel. So how do you want to go about pulling these drives?
So I don't have a ton that would help me in this area in terms of focuses or anything like that. But I'm basically going to be doing what I know from what this would be engineering?
So I think we could make a couple cases here. I think engineering or science would work. I would even take security if you're going for like the idea that you're trying to wipe everything from like a data security standpoint. It depends on how you want to flavor it here.
I think we were trying to pull the data, so I'm pretty sure we're trying to retrieve it. If I'm remembering correctly, we're trying to take it with us.
Well, take the physical drives and then wipe the computers completely
Right.
clean.
So first, I'm taking the
all
physical
three of
drives.
those options would make sure that you get the physical drives with you.
Sure. We'll do engineering.
Engineering. Okay. And I think that this would be a control task.
Okay. And then what are we at with momentum at the moment?
We have one you can use.
I'm sorry?
We have one. You can use it.
All right. I'll take the one. Oh, what was the difficulty?
Difficulty 2.
Well, that's a one success.
One success. Okay. So this is success at a cost then, essentially. Like this isn't something that you fail and you can't do. But essentially you pull out one of these drives and sparks start flying from one of these computers. And you see it beginning to burn and burn. And you have to rapidly start pulling these drives as they're taking more and more damage. You're able to get them out. The question is how much of that data is still there? And it's also slowing down the process because that computer was your main access to these drives. So with that console terminated, getting the other side, the drives from the other side, is going to be a bit more time consuming. So you're still going to be able to get there, but it's going to be a delay essentially. How are you handling this?
Hessel just sort of like she's kind of doing things, and then things start like sparking and whatnot, and she's just sort of cursing at things and just this is not a system that I'm used to, and I whatever he was doing is just overloaded these and she keeps at it, but she's definitely sort of like cursing and hitting things.
Commander Hessel, just do your best. This is a stressful situation. I'm sure we will succeed.
The
Well,
stellar
and she's just
inversion drive has redirected the power to the research facility. It's much more power than the facility was rated for.
What are
Now
you trying to
tell me?
imply, Vital? Is the research facility going to suffer catastrophic electronic failures due to power overloads or something worse?
Cascading failures over time. The computers can only handle the rated input for so long.
Hessel just keeps working, and she's just sort of giving this like estimate. So she's kind of like pulling stuff like, well, we could have had 100%, but oh, well, looks like now we're going to be down to 90%. So she's just sort of like the amount of data that like she thinks that is being gathered. She just kind of keeps running this number down every time something sparks and every time she has to like hit something.
And I think it's safe to say that as you're dealing with this, it's frustrating as there are consoles that just one by one begin failing. And it's not dangerous. It's not going to cause an explosion or anything like that, but there's just too much electricity coursing through them. And after a few minutes, I think it's safe to say also that a light dings at a bulkhead doors on the far side of this room here. And you hear a computer ding and the bulkhead doors open. And you see a tram on the other side with Dr. Talas and Dr. Commander Danko. I'm reading the Skype name.
Don't read that first part of that. It's not true.
As
Both of
you
those things
have
are
PhD
indeed
only.
true.
That's not a proper DR. That
I
is
am the
a
commander.
PhD DR.
Wait, did you just say a PhD is not it's literally a doctorate?
Yes, an academic doctor versus a proper doctor.
And Hessel's just like, hello?
All right, so
Hello?
I stab her with the hypo spray.
Like,
Do I even
bruh,
roll for
like
that
it's
or
not
something?
like, bruh, medical
Hello?
doctor.
Do I hear Zharg, is that
It
Vice
looks
and
like
Talas?
yeah, they've joined us. Have you been attacked by any eggs?
No, but Talas
Ah.
is coming apart at the seams. We don't have much time.
Commander Danko is like totally whack right now.
Dr.
I
Talas,
just
Yo,
you've been compromised. We all know you've been compromised. I appreciate your efforts under these circumstances. But you have a patient over there, Vital. He's been far more compromised than you have. So, based on your current insights, if you're still holding it together enough, see what you can do for him to reduce his physical pain so we can transport him off of this side of the station.
yeah, sure. Sure, bro. Let me take a look at him.
Dvorggern, I assume you lower one of the force fields to allow them in, and then the force field goes back up. And yeah, you can give me a medicine insight, I'd say. Difficulty 1, as you're familiar with Vulcan biology and starting to become more familiar with the neural parasites.
I will roll these two. Insight and medicine would be a 14 for me. So that's 2 successes.
All right, so that's a success and 1 momentum. And you're going to see that he's covered in these parasites. There's a dozen of them on there. Uh, it only takes a touch from one of them for a human to become overpowered by this, as the nerve system, the parasitic nerve system, takes over. The fact that he's still having control with this many parasites is astounding.
Am I able to use the strobe light that Danko has sort of jerry-rigged up to a bunch of our sort of units or our phasers, etc., to try to see if I can start to get some of the eggs off of him?
Uh, yeah, I think this would neatly fit in with soft boiled.
Oh, I'm going to I'll use
Gonna
the
spend the
one.
stress.
No, I'm going to use the one that will make you happier this time, actually. I am a proud and honorable Andorian, and whenever I attempt a task to resist being coerced into breaking a promise or betraying an ally or otherwise acting dishonorably, you may add threat to immediate success to the task. The amount of threat you add is equal to the task's difficulty. And then also, yes, I'm going to take a stress, so you can't do that.
So we're not actually doing a task right now. So I think it would just be the stress.
Just the stress? Okay. Well, I assumed you were going to have me roll for the other one, but sure. Then I will just do the stress.
Uh, yeah. Okay. So trying to get the uh parasites off of him. Uh, you're going to be able to start cutting and slicing away. The parasites don't seem to be reacting that way. Once they're attached to someone, they stay attached. It doesn't seem that they fly off and start attaching towards you or anything like that.
Yeah.
So you're easily able to start slicing and dicing, and VTOL does not offer any interference
I
there.
do want to be careful because even in the medical logs, they mentioned it, that sort of removing the parasites was detrimental to the host. So I do want to be a
That
bit
was when,
careful.
so yes, removing the actual brain cell sized creature is not deadly. The
Okay,
problem
okay.
is when they insert their own nerve endings into you, they penetrate your entire nervous system, and removing those is what's deadly. So if you were trying to like do surgery on the spine or on the brainstem to try and get those parts of the parasite out, that would be deadly.
Dudes and dudettes, I feel like I ought to warn you. The hive mind wants to infect you, by the way. Yeah, I'm gonna work on this though.
Interesting. And Argent will just dive right into Dr. Talas's mind to get a read on what's going on, because Betazoids that's the way they do it. They don't screw around.
I'm also a betazoid, so I would welcome it, but you're gonna see a parasite hive mind, which is interesting.
Yeah. So, Dr. Talas, you're willing.
Yeah.
Argent, I don't think it would require a check then. Uh, Dr. Talas is under an enormous amount of pain and pressure right now. It feels like Talas's personality is just being squeezed, and the fact that they're holding on to their personality is a
Yo, dude.
bit of a miracle. But this can't last forever. Eventually, it will overpower her. She'll take enough stress that she'll lose control. But she is handling it much better than most people would.
So Argent would just basically leave like feather touches of telepathic contact in her mind so he could feel if she starts to get to that point, so that he can tell somebody to stun her and put her down.
Okay. I think that's fair to say. I don't have a problem with
Because
that.
because they say betazoids continuously communicate with everyone telepathically, so I would think it would make sense that he'd be able to do that.
And
Unless
Talas
she
right
tried to
now is
push him
being
out.
open to it. So
Yeah.
If Talas stopped being open to it, you would feel that as well.
Yeah. And he kind of communicates to Dr. Talas telepathically. I'm very impressed with your will. You are doing well. I'm monitoring you and I have your back.
Ain't no squares that's gonna take me down.
All right. So it ends up taking another few minutes, but Hessel, you pull the last of the research drives.
Hessel would kind of communicate to Weiss and Dvorggern that our instructions were to wipe these. I've pulled what I could, and she'll kind of gesture to the burn marks and whatnot. I was not able to pull everything, but our next instruction was to destroy this so that the incoming Cardassians cannot take this. But a quick shot or two from a phaser may do the trick physically.
Dvorggern will first ask Commander Denko, Commander Sir, with what we were downloading on the night side before we came over here, do you think that we could combine that data with the physical drives to make a complete set?
Is there a check I can roll to estimate the amount of data we were able to get from the operations center connection?
I don't think you would need to make a check. You would be able to access operations, like you've got the comm link set up, because that's how the data is being put. You'd know that you got a good amount of data, maybe 10% or so. No, you have it. So it's probably likely a quarter of the data, 25% or so is on the operations side now. The question of how much it overlaps with the drives that have been pulled is hard to say, but there's no reason that you wouldn't be able to combine the two data sets when you have them.
So
Between what we
that
can pull.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, is that a yes? Then we have like everything we need from the drives and from the data stream.
Yes, in the sense that there's mission accomplished. You were able to prevent Cardassians from grabbing the data. How much of the data survived? It may not be all of it, but it's most of it. And that the important thing that matters is getting it from the Cardassians, not letting them take it. So you don't want the data to be destroyed, but if some of it is destroyed, that's not a big deal. It's better than falling into Cardassian hands.
And if we can save some of the researchers, they can probably fill in the gaps from whatever is missing. So let's try to get an evacuation order going before the Cardassians get here and see who we can get off this
Well,
planet.
We first need to establish some sort of proper quarantine. According to Talas, the creatures want off this station and they want onto our ships. It's possible.
no.
Yeah, they've
They
been
might.
like totally pushing me for that.
If we can get the remaining people up in shuttles, once we get outside of the stellar radiation band and closer to Intrepid, we can have Intrepid transport us and keep us in the transporter buffers while medical runs scans on our DNA to isolate those who have been infected. Then we can transport them one at a time into a medical containment facility, bombard it with 400 nanometers of ultraviolet radiation, kill the parasites, and save the officers.
There are at least 14 personnel on this side of the base. They have succumbed to the parasite. They will not obey any orders from Starfleet.
Commander Vital, are your personnel on this side of the base recoverable in the allotted time that we have?
If we can purify the base, they can be saved.
Can we set the photoreceptors and light systems on this side of the base to emit solely ultraviolet energy, 100 to 400 nanometers, and see if we can't cleanse them? He's asking a scientist because he has no idea.
No, we don't have the equip. Wait. We've harvested stellar mass. If we can release it in correct doses, it will kill the parasites.
Can we shunt it through the ventilation systems and then pump it into the areas where your team still is?
And Vital goes to respond and then turns to the console. And it seems as if his hand dexterity is still there, despite his communication just struggling to get things out. And he starts typing in essentially blueprints of the base come up and certain parts become highlighted by the computer. There is a smaller version of engineering on this side of the base. And essentially, as like these blueprints come up and you see that these orders are going through, he's essentially asking you all to do what you repaired on the night side of the base. There is a tank of stellar mass, and if you rupture it in a slight controlled manner, you can release it, send it through the ventilation, like you said, and it should theoretically kill these parasites.
Well, we don't have a lot of time, so let's get to it, team. In other words, I have no skill in this, so somebody else has to get shit done.
Yeah, I'm compromised.
I mean, the
Yes.
fact that we worked on the other side of repairing it, shouldn't that mean it's easier on this side to actually just reproduce what we're doing?
Absolutely, and it's a smaller scale.
Okay.
So if you're okay going along with this plan, Lynne.
Gotta save who we can save.
I feel like it's the only plan we have because I do like, yeah, like
If you
is there any reason we can't just send more people down now? To
So
start
the stellar
recovering?
shields still need to stay up. You can briefly lower them, but every time you do, you lower a little bit of the structure stability of the base is the problem.
Okay. All this technology, we can never use it.
You were
So yeah,
successful on that side, so we can follow what you did there and be successful here as well.
The other thing is that you actually don't have enough shuttles to carry everyone off of the base. But if everyone is no longer compromised by these parasites, then a single lowering of the shields and an excellent transporter chief should be able to get most of the people off without a hitch, as long as they're on the night side of the
I don't
base.
think we should do anything with that transporter chief.
No, McCrae's done. McCrae's going to be a cook at best. by the
Genuinely,
time I get back to the
don't think that's a good idea.
Sometimes we have to hope. Sometimes hope is a choice.
Our shuttles do they have their own transporters on them in the manner like so
Do they?
Yeah.
I mean they
Shuttles
they
have
do in
transporters?
DS9.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely do.
So I guess like we could send people down and like I don't know. Maybe I'm overly logically trying to solve this as opposed to like just following the trail.
No, I'm open to whatever you
like,
want to do.
Why wouldn't we just send down more crew at this point? Because we have a lot of base to cover. We have a lot of people to recover. Our shuttles have transporters. We can use the shuttles on the transporters to buffer, to put people's patterns in buffers there. Those pattern buffers can then be transferred back to the Intrepid when we get to the Intrepid. So like, it doesn't mean we can't do this thing that he's telling us to do, but like we're short on time. And like
I think the only thing that would prevent us from bringing more people down here is the risk of spreading the infection.
Mm-hmm. And also the pattern buffers, there's like a limit to how many people it can hold.
In the
but if
shuttle.
we send,
In the shuttle. I mean in the shuttle, yeah.
okay.
If we're all gonna be nerds, then there's a limit.
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
like
I mean,
when Scotty put himself in the pattern buffer of his shuttle, he basically said, you could do that for one person for an extended period of time, but not really any more than that.
So we can do multiple things at the same time, though. We can.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Is like I don't see why we can do singular doing one thing at a time. There's just the five of us when we have an entire crew like at our disposal. Like we have supporting characters for a reason. I don't know why we're not tapping into them.
If you communicate that plan with the Intrepid, and hearing that the data is already secured, there would be relief in Shelby's voice, and she would communicate that the Cardassians are just over an hour away at this point, but it only takes about 25 minutes for the shuttles to get down. So if you work quickly, she'll send all the shuttles and crew she can spare without compromising the battle readiness of the Intrepid. She'll be. I didn't realize that the shuttles had transporters. I thought that they were there because they don't have transporters.
That's okay.
So
I
yeah,
didn't know that either.
thank you. I appreciate that, buddy. She'll send crew down to help with the evacuation. Then, in that sense, but then the first step is still making sure that there is no contaminants, right?
Yeah, I mean, we could still do the plan that Vital says, but I feel like we have so much. We've learned so much about how to prevent infection. We have ultraviolet stuff. There's ultraviolet everywhere. They said that the star doesn't have ultraviolet, but like that's not true. But like even like we have all these different UV emitters. We have phasers.
When you said that, I was like, oh my God, that's 100 to 400 nanometers of light. That's just
it might have not a lot, but like there's different degrees, but it has some.
There's an
but like
infinite amount of
dark
stars.
star.
This is a
This is a
special
dark
one.
star.
Even dark stars emit them though. Any dark body would emit UV.
Yeah, but it's like
whatever.
it's like 3,000. Okay.
Star Trek magic.
Yeah, and we also have phasers, and phasers like their emission of light. We could.
So we shoot everyone. Okay, I'm on board with this. Let's shoot everyone and be done with it.
I just feel like we've collected enough. I feel like we've collected enough data to be able to arm the people coming down with how to protect against it and what to look for, and all those types of things. So I don't know.
I don't disagree with that at all, except that you're under a time crunch. So trying to
Yeah.
arm a fleet of people with like UV light projectors would be a little bit more difficult.
Well, I think we're doing this
We
because we have a
tell
time
them how
crunch. So
to do
we're
it.
divvying up the tasks that we have to do so that we have the people who can help us so that we can be in multiple places at once, because 5 of us can't be in too many places at
Yeah.
once. So this
It's an entire
lets
crew
us
of a
spread
starship. I
around.
feel like
Yeah.
we can delegate.
I'm not trying to
various tasks
disagree, and I'm
them.
not trying to hinder you either. I absolutely am all for you guys using the crew. So you've got a fleet of shuttles coming down. You're sending them down with telling them to build UV projectors on the way. Actually, let's just make this plan even easier. McCrae has the brilliant idea that in containment, they're just going to build a single UV light. And if you send the shuttles down, they'll be able to transport everyone out. They'll transport them directly to containment where they're flashed with UV light. Everyone will be purified. And we'll all be happy and call it a day, I hope.
Yay.
So you are able to secure the data. I think it makes sense. It takes about 25 minutes for the shuttles to come down, the fleet of them. And in that time, you'd be able to get most of the readings. We'll say you spend that time scanning the day side of the base, especially because that's the one that has the most radiation that interferes with the transporters. For all the life forms you can, it still comes up with crazy numbers. 23, 43, and then 918. But you're able to specifically focus on those 23. And that is what you're determining are the rest of Starfleet personnel here. You're able to, we're going to say there's this montage as we see the Starfleet shuttles moving over the base. They're flying in formation, going in patterns. And people who are in the space, we see them, they're in pain. They've got like wrenches and pipes. And as they see you coming, they start running at you. They smash their pipe down, but there's a level 2 force field that flares. You scan them, and then we see them teleport away as the shuttles pick them up and they get sent to containment. We cut to the Intrepid, where we see that there's this cargo bay essentially that's been converted to medical containment. And this person who was so angry was slamming down the wrench. As soon as they appear in this cargo bay, there's this blinding light. They drop the wrench, they go down to their knees, and then after a few moments, they come back, and you can see that they're no longer in pain. They are regaining bits of their consciousness. I'm sure that there's still some lingering phantom pain. They're still unaware of what's going on. There's a lot of confusion. But in mass, we see groups of these people showing up in containment. Just as the Cardassian Galor class cruisers are teleporting in, we see them appear in the system as the final shuttle lands on the Intrepid. And out of that final shuttle, the back doors of that shuttle open in the bay, and we see the 5 of you coming off of this shuttle, holding just stacks and stacks of research data in drives as you have accomplished the mission before the Cardassians
I,
even got there, which is pretty good. Yeah, go ahead, Argent. What else?
I would have said that while that was all going on, Commander Argent would have communicated up to Captain Shelby to have her reconfigure their deflector shield to emit the particular wavelength of ultraviolet radiation and bathe the entire base in it to try to make sure that we kill all the parasites before the Cardassians get there, because we don't want the parasites getting off the planet.
Yeah, absolutely. So we see the shuttle doors open, the 5 of you come off. We cut out to the Intrepid back in space, and we see this beam of white light, almost like a phaser, but much broader beam, and it lights up this patch of darkness on the base, and then we see it trail across the tram line to the day side of the base. As you essentially are just blasting it with so much UV radiation that none of these neural parasites could hope to survive. Uh, and then with that, the Intrepid warps off, and then we see shuttles of the Cardassians being launched and heading towards this base, which has now been emptied of everything of importance. At this point, they're just getting basic personal items of Starfleet. There's nothing of real intellectual value. And that is where we're going to call it a night. We're a bit early here, but this is the end of the mission. You've accomplished everything in the mission, and you've done it with really quickly as well. Lightning speed here. So you've gotten the research. You've uh, saved everyone that you could possibly save. You didn't even have to hurt Vital. You were able to talk him into it, which was a difficult task as well. You guys killed it. You guys did really good on this. Well done. Yeah. So what do we think would be the conference room meeting, like the report after this? What would the uh energy be like? Would you call it a successful mission? Would you feel frustrated by how certain things happened? Let's say we're at the five of you at the conference room before Shelby walks in. What does this look like?
Talas probably has their uniform kind of ripped open a bit and like quite obviously having come from medical, getting the radiation treatment or the ultraviolet radiation treatment themselves. And it's just like let's totally not do that ever again. It was totally whack.
Regardless of your vernacular, Doctor, you managed to comport yourself very, very well while you were under a great deal of pain. I will be writing a commendation for your records for this action.
Like you're totally a bro.
No, I am not a bro at all, but I do believe in recognizing officers who go above and beyond. And you certainly did that. You all did.
And you've gotten a clean bill of health? Hessel's just sort of looking at
Yeah,
Dallas.
I totally
And
don't like getting told what to do. I may have noticed.
but you're all good now. There's nothing crawling around
Nope,
in
totally
there.
clean. I double check with a tricorder. See, absolutely nothing left.
That is a relief. And she'll Hessel will sort of be kind of commenting on the could have gotten more of the data, because of kind of the overload in the computer system and whatnot. And so that's sort of, just her sort of internal self-report around, the could have retained, but Vital had done everything that he had done to redirect power into the area that we were in, and that's a bit scorched, but lessons learned for next time I go dinging around in computer systems when necessary.
You did
And
well, Commander Hessel, to get what you got under the circumstances. And we managed to save most of the Starfleet personnel. They should be able to rebuild their research based on what you brought back.
And Hessel, since we're talking about the data, you would be able to go through a lot of the data that's recovered, and it doesn't take much from initial scans to understand what was going on. Research at the Angstrom Research Base is centered on low mass stars and the gases they contain. Much of this you learned as you were down there, but now you're starting to understand the science behind it. Some of the gases on these stars is relatively rare, and the goal was to find a way to harvest those rare gases, even if it comes at the cost of the star itself. The stellar inversion drive works by creating a disturbance in the star's photosphere, creating a fountain of gas, not unlike a controlled solar flare. And then it was thought that a captured device could be created to harness those gases before they fall back into the star or dissipate. The research never finished that capturing device because Starfleet was concerned that this technology could be weaponized and used intentionally to destroy stars. Looking through this research, you can see that none of it was weapons oriented whatsoever. This was entirely based on science and just trying to find a new way to harvest those rare resources. But it also makes you understand the critical nature of the mission about why you wouldn't want this to fall into Cardassian hands for twofold reasons. One, the Cardassians could accuse Starfleet of making a weapon to destroy stars. And two, the Cardassians could use this research themselves to make that weapon. So you really have avoided a critical catastrophe and political nightmare by recovering this data and not allowing any of it to fall into Cardassian hands. Dvorggern and Danko, what do you two look like as you're in this briefing room?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
All right. So I like how we both like wait to let the other go, and then we time it at the same time. Yeah, I think Danko is actually really interested in this creature that we have discovered that has showed up twice now on Starfleet records. Xenobiology is one of his focuses. So I think he's trying to better understand them just from a sort of a scientific perspective, and like if there's anything he can learn about their biology, like where they might have like originated, like how did they appear in one sector and then they kind of show up in the other sector, and just trying to theorize how a hive-minded single cell entities, hive-minded, and yet somehow capable of like essentially parasitically invading other species, and just kind of curious to what extent that they have been disseminated across the galaxy. So I think he's just probably digging into like whatever kind of data that either intentionally collected or just as a byproduct of these people becoming infected and whatnot.
When it comes to actual research of the parasite, you have plenty of dead parasites that you're going to be able to research on for as long as you want. And that's the type of thing that takes time, but you're able to get broad strokes of it, and you're able to piece together that somehow there is a hive mind that connects them. And how it connects is if someone can crack that, that would be the discovery of a lifetime of figuring out how that works. When it comes to more practical things, this is in a sector that's very far from the Deneva system, and trying to figure out how it was on this planet that has no life. Uh, that is a little bit easier to make a guess at, although you can't say for sure. 10 days ago is when this incident happened where the cell-like organism was first found. And 12 days prior, there was a trade vessel that docked at the research base specifically to drop off supplies. It's a Ferengi vessel, and it is a vessel that has been there before. So for security reasons, it doesn't seem that out of place. But the timing is damning. The fact that this is a research base that doesn't have very many visitors, and just 2 days prior, there was a Ferengi vessel before this incident happened. Likely something from that vessel was either hitching a ride or maliciously released on this planet.
Okay. I think Danko would then, with that knowledge, would then communicate with the captain and with Commander Hessel to make sure we notify the Ferengi of this, just in case they're in, because they are a friendly species.
Absolutely.
So
friendly-ish. Dvorggern, what does this briefing look like for you?
So upon like hearing the part about the interstellar drive potentially being weaponized, that's right up Dvorggern's alley, because he strongly believes understanding any theoretical weapon or schematic or whatever helps him recognize if something is that way in another section of the galaxy. So he would press any cured researchers, he would go through any data, not asking them to build it or to unleash the full horrors, but he wants to understand exactly how it would work, what to look for, so that if he sees it in the future, he could alert, Starfleet and disable it, and he wants to know his weapons.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes complete sense. And one of the things that you would go through as you're going through this research data, as you're interviewing the researchers, they're on the Intrepid for some time, so you have free access to talk with them, and that would, in a way, be comforting and frustrating to you, that whole process, because as you're talking to these researchers, none of them understand Starfleet weaponry in the slightest. It's very clear that they have no sort of background in that, and as they want to help you, they want to communicate their research. They're happy to talk about this because you've got the clearance to learn it, and they're nerds, so they like talking about the things they're interested in. They're very proud of this technology that they've created. But when it comes to weaponizing, that was the last thing on their minds. As you talk to Vital, probably that's when things would start to make more and more sense. He very specifically picked his personnel from entirely science-based backgrounds with no intention of ever weaponizing this. Specifically because he was worried about the public-facing image it could look like if someone accused it of being a weapon. He didn't want his funding cut off in that way. He wanted to be able to create the technology that would allow free resources, essentially, from these stars that are on essentially plant. They only have galaxies. They only have systems full of planets with no life. It does no harm to anyone by harvesting these stars of their resources. And with that, we'll see the door opens. Captain Shelby comes in. She sits down. She says, "Report." And we'll fade to black there as you have accomplished the mission, accomplished the goal, saved Starfleet from yet another political nightmare. Congratulations, y'all. That was a lot of fun. And we'll be back next week with the start of another mission. We'll see how much downtime we have. I'll talk with you all throughout the week. Kipser, I'm sorry we didn't get to use more egg codes. I was excited for those. I know you were too. It was your idea. You messaged me saying we should do it.
Yeah, totally.
But who knows? Maybe these eggs will pop up again. We can use them then. Aaron, what do we got going on at Garblag?
Thanks. That was a lot of fun. I love Star Trek, and I'm really enjoying this. On Garblag, we are off tomorrow, but come back on Wednesday, the 23rd at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Garblag's YouTube channel for the finale of the Cataclysm of Kang. But this week, if you tune in on Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will be starting season 2 of Imperium Maledictum. And foolishly enough, they've invited me to join as a psyker in this inquisitorial warband. So hilarity should ensue.
How could that go wrong?
How could that go wrong?
As for me, before we cut to Jeff, I've made my own game. It's called Huckleberry. It's a Weird West game. If you like playing cowboys with 6-shooters that shoot goat demons, then Huckleberry is the game you want to play. It is out now on DriveThruRPG. You can go to huckleberryrpg.com for all the details, see all the pretty art. It's a beautiful book, and we have a big Halloween update coming out soon. It'll be out in the next week at least. I'm not sure exactly what day because I don't like committing to specific days, but it will be out within the next 7 days, and that is awesome. Everyone who has the PDF from DriveThruRPG will be getting this update. It's completely free because we're in early access, so all the next updates for the next several months will be free to everyone who has the PDF. There's no reason not to have it. It's amazing. That's all I've got. Jeff, what's going on with Lollygaggers?
Not a whole lot this week. Next game is Thursday. You can see a bunch of us here playing some RZM. Friday and Saturday we are off this week as we've got some family stuff that we got to take care of, and then we'll be back on Monday next week with more of our other Escape campaign. And that's what we got going on. So,
and then back here on Tuesday for more Star Trek adventures in Lollygagging.
I got a raid queued up. We're looking at Omega Ohm TV as they're playing some Alien, and we like Alien here, so we're gonna go ahead and get that queued up and ready to go. And that's that. Do you have any more egg puns you wanna throw out because you didn't get them?
I didn't get to say Sunny Side Up, which was kill everyone.
Yeah,
Oh, dear.
that is true.
Is that the sunny side deal?
Sunny side up. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Sounds like a. It sounds like a Steven thing. Anyway, we'll see y'all later. Have a good night. Bye bye.
Bye.
Good night.